Good evening, everybody. You're watching America First. My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes. We got a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Monday. We have a lot to talk about, lots to get into. Big show, lots to discuss. Big featured story. What's going on? Guys, what the fuck? Okay, we can't start like that, but seriously, what is happening? I go away for a couple of days for Labor Day, and I'm having a good time. We're having fun and enjoying my time away from you, from the super chatters, from the trolls, the troll demons that are antagonizing me. I go and clear my mind for Labor Day weekend, and it doesn't even register that for a week, we don't see Trump at all. No televised appearances, no press pool, no press conference, nothing. Radio silence. We don't hear from Trump. I believe the last time we've seen him up close and personal was last Monday or Tuesday. It's now Monday. So it's been 6-7 days. Okay, Fibonacci sequence confirmed. Like, why does that keep popping up? But it's been 6 or 7 days for real since we've seen him. And people started to notice this late last week, I believe on Friday and Saturday. People realized we haven't seen Trump in a few days. He had no scheduled appearances Friday, Saturday, Sunday, cleared a schedule for today, Monday. And so people started to suspect that Trump had died and that this was being covered up. At the minimum, something has happened. Something weird is going on. This blows up. It goes viral over the weekend, like Friday or Saturday. It blows up. And I think there's like 300,000 posts on X that say that Trump is dead. And there's a lot of speculation. And what was really bizarre to me, because there's a lot of tenuous explanations. He's on vacation. He's taking a break. He's resting. Who knows? But you would expect that if everybody in the whole world, or a lot of people, thought that he was dead, what's Trump's move? What's he going to do the next morning? If on a Friday night, everybody is saying Trump died, we haven't seen him in days, what's Trump's obvious next move, knowing him? Oh, well, the next morning, he's going to be doing a marathon cabinet meeting. He's going to be doing a marathon press pool. And all the little MAGA shills are going to go on Twitter and say, oh, our fearless leader just spoke to the press for 7 hours. How does he do it? He seems to be aging in reverse. He looks amazing. But he didn't do that. They said that he went golfing, but the press was not allowed within a football field distance of the actual president. They weren't allowed to go up close and personal, weren't allowed to go on the golf course. And so what we got the following day and days were these blurry photographs from very far away. No cabinet meeting, no press pool, no press on the golf course, nothing. Just these bizarre photos that look weird. And what's more, not only that, because it's surprising, but then you see a lot of the pro-Trump accounts on Twitter, they start posting old photographs, old videos. It almost seems like maybe that was intentional, that Trump went out dressed like he did in an older photo. And then the line they were pushing was to use the old photo, the old video, and Trump and them would insinuate that the old photos were actually from that very day and make it look like he's all right. It's all very bizarre. Trump again canceled all of his appearances today, and now tomorrow there's an announcement scheduled at the White House in the afternoon. So we're going to talk about all of it. We'll talk about the whole timeline. It's very strange. I don't know what to make of it, but something is up. I don't know what is up. I don't think that Trump is dead. I don't believe he's dead. But something's not right here. Something is off. I think everybody knows that. I think that's obvious. And you know what? The only people that are not willing to admit that It's very suspicious. And I think that they might be on the payroll in some way. I'm getting very creeped out. It's getting to be a little bit too much for me. The double standards, the inconsistencies, this like slavish devotion. And I'm convinced like 90% of the Trump influencers have got to be on the payroll in some form. There was just a story that broke last week that all these Democrat influencers were being paid by the Democratic Party. And you know that something like that is happening with the Republicans. We've seen evidence of it before. I think it's far more widespread than even we're aware of. But something is not right here. Gut level. Something is not right. Something is very bizarre here. So I guess we'll find out tomorrow, but we'll speculate a little tonight. That's going to be our big show. We're also going to talk tonight about the, get a load of this. The Washington Post reported on the post-war plan for Gaza. You remember back in February, Trump proposed that we would ethnically cleanse the Gaza Strip and then replace it with like casinos and turn it into a resort and a smart city with AI and Web3, Bitcoin city. Well, they have a new proposal. It's called the Great Proposal. And it's the same exact thing. They're going to pay all the Palestinians like $10,000 each to leave the Strip. They're going to say that every Palestinian in Gaza has like a stake in the land, and this consortium that will build the resort, it will be more cost efficient for them to pay like $10,000 to $20,000 for each Palestinian to get set up in another country and leave. Or they're going to like herd them into prison camps while they build Disney World in Gaza. It's totally insane. We'll talk about it. We'll read through the report. I'm not exaggerating, by the way, like that's the plan. The plan is they want to kick everybody out, bulldoze it, and turn it into like a resort, a smart city / resort area owned by the United States on a lease, I believe, and they're going to pay everybody to leave. They're going to call it a voluntary departure, and they're going to pay everybody to leave, and the people that stay, if they allow anyone to stay, they're saying they'll literally be herded into like small pockets while they destroy and rebuild everything. So it just gets better and better. I mean, do you feel the golden age yet? Are you feeling it? Are you feeling it now? So we'll get into all that. Should be a pretty good show. It's good to be back with you. I wasn't here Thursday and Friday. I was out of town, taking a little break for Labor Day, and everybody was going crazy. People are bitching that I'm not doing a show. It's a holiday. I took a couple of days off, for crying out loud, and people in my group, in the America First group chat, are like, when is he coming back? 5 days without a show. It's like it's an internet show. Like, watch the replay. Get a grip. I go into the subscribers only group chat and people are losing their minds. I'm like, it's been 3 days. Like, relax. But it was good. Good to take a little break because it can get to be a lot. But the generational run resumes. I have a lot of big collaborations planned for this month, September. Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a collaboration finally with Jimmy Dore. We haven't confirmed the schedule, but I think we're going to do it Wednesday, I believe at 3 o'clock Pacific time. But I'll tell you the details tomorrow. And barring any crazy situation tomorrow, I'll be doing a collaboration with him on Wednesday. This has been one that's been in the works for a long time. We're in a very similar place. Me on the far right, him on the far left. I don't know too much about him, but I know that he's another one that kind of marches to the beat of his own drum on the left wing. And there is this horseshoe thing going on where it seems like we agree on a lot. So I'll be talking with him on Wednesday. People have been asking that for a long time. We're finally going to do it. And then next week, I have 3 big collaborations scheduled, not this weekend, but next weekend. You're going to lose your mind because I got 3 very big, very exciting collaborations scheduled. So the generational run resumes. I told you I was kind of tapped out for a minute, taking a little break, but we're going to pick up the pace again. So we're going to talk a little bit about this weird situation that's going on. This is our featured story. I know everybody wants to know what's up. And like I said, I wasn't paying too much attention to the news. I started my Labor Day vacation on Thursday. So I was not paying attention all day Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then I started hearing over the weekend that Twitter exploded. Everybody thinks that Trump has died in office. And this is not my first rodeo. I've been on the internet for a long time, and I've been on this political side of the internet for a long time. And I will preface all of this by saying so much of this sort of thing that you see on the internet is totally fake, like 99% of it. And if you're a veteran of the meme war, you know what I'm talking about. October surprises, people looking at flight tracking radar, people talking about imminent war with North Korea, Iran, with Russia, people pretending to be official government sources leaking information on 4chan about false flag terror attacks, time travel, warp devices, all these kind of things. If you've ever been on 4chan, if you've ever been on Twitter, if you've been in this space, it's like every other month. Oh, dude, a missile just flew over my house. Joe Biden's laptop just flew over my house. We've seen it all before. So you got to take it with a grain of salt, a little bit. Because what starts as a seed of doubt or an inkling of something that is strange, it goes from 0 to 6 million. It goes from 0 to 100, and people start to create fake evidence, read more into something than is really there. And I saw that all weekend. So we do have to take some of this with a bit of a grain of salt. But let's talk about what has actually happened. Let's talk about why everybody thinks that Trump has died and why we haven't seen him and what's going on. And the timeline goes something like this. It actually starts earlier than you think. We'll go all the way back. So like I said, this came on my radar and really with everybody late last week because people started to realize that, wait a second, we haven't seen Trump in days. Trump's last televised appearance was at the beginning of last week, I think on Tuesday, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday went by and nobody saw him. No photos, no videos, nothing scheduled in public or in private. And then his whole weekend schedule was also clear. So people noticed this. We haven't seen him and we won't see him for a whole week. His Labor Day weekend plans are all gone. There's no schedule, nothing, as I said, in private or in public. And this is very uncharacteristic of the president. This is something that all of his shills, all of his glazers, his sycophants, this is something they always talk about, is that he's got this remarkable energy. They said last week he held a cabinet meeting that went 7 hours. And it was like reality TV. Every cabinet member present, everybody saying their piece, everybody worshiping Trump. And all of the shills, all of the surrogates on Twitter saying, wow, this president, there's unprecedented access to him. He just takes questions from the press for hours. He just marches up to the press pool. He's on the roof of the White House. So this is different. This is uncharacteristic of him. To not see him for a week, and that's what it is, to not see him for days, inexplicably, no foreknowledge of this wasn't planned in advance. And then for him not to have anything scheduled indefinitely for 3-4 days, very bizarre, very uncharacteristic of the president. And so, like I said, that's when this came on everybody's radar, and people started to say, is Trump all right? Why? Because everybody has noticed that the president is having some health problems. And it makes sense. He's 79 years old.
Yeah, a lot of the news outlets like to speculate what's going on with him. I mean, he's been gone for a little over a week now. I mean, in my personal opinion, I think that he's probably just taking some time off. I mean, again, he's an elderly man, so all the pictures you see in the news of the bruising and the way he's walking. I seen something about like his leg and maybe a brace under his pant leg or something. Um, Again, it's all speculation. He's an elderly man in his late 70s, early 80s. I mean, of course his body's gonna start breaking down. Um, but I wouldn't jump to any conspiracy theories like Nick's saying. I'm sure he's fine as far as, being still alive at least, but I don't think anything is wrong with him health wise. I just think he's taking a long Labor Day weekend, and more to come. We'll see later on, either today or tomorrow, if he makes an appearance. So I'll let Nick continue.
He just turned 79, I believe, in June. So this is an old man. And this isn't just any old man either. He's already not very healthy. He doesn't exercise. He eats this terrible diet. And moreover, he has been in the crosshairs of the Death Star for 10 years. Ever since he came down the escalator 10 years ago, he has been subject to an unrelenting attack from the deep state, from the media, from his former associates, you name it. It's normal that an average president would age 20 years in 8. It's expected that someone like a Barack Obama, who's a much younger man, or George W. Bush, who was a much younger man, the president carries the weight of the world on his shoulders normally, and the office ages you. But for Trump to be the subject of the lawfare, getting shot in the head, being at that advanced age, it's just these multipliers on multipliers. At a certain point, he's a mortal man. It will affect him. So he gets into office, and we know this. He's the oldest, I believe, the oldest elected president. He's got all these issues, and people start to notice in the photographs that there are some symptoms here. First thing is swelling of the calves. People notice that if you look at his calves above his shoes, his calves are huge. And people say this is a cardiovascular problem. He's not getting adequate blood flow. Maybe there's something more serious going on. I'm not a medical doctor, but there's different theories. And some say it's more benign and it's just a product of his age. Some say it could be more of a problem. We get something really interesting, though, on August 19th. And this is something also that Alex Jones said on a show that I did with him earlier not this month, but last month in August. On August 19th, Trump is quoted in an interview as talking about heaven. And in the context of his meeting with Vladimir Putin and bringing an end to the war in Ukraine, Trump says, "This will get me into heaven," he says, which is, once again, an uncharacteristic thing for him to say. Trump has been with us for 10 years, and like him, love him, hate him, whatever you think about him, this is not a deeply spiritual person. This is a very strong, stoic person, fatalistic, you might say, pays lip service occasionally to some vague notion of God, cultural Christian religiosity, but he's not a deeply spiritual person, doesn't speak in moral or spiritual terms. And when I saw that quote, I remembered this is something that Alex Jones has said to me also, that privately, people say that Trump is talking all the time about heaven, about going to heaven, about the afterlife, about these things, which is, again, just another one of those data points. It's another uncharacteristic thing. We also start to see a problem with his hands. He's wearing makeup, foundation all over his hand, covering up what appears to be a site on his body where he's been repeatedly injected with an IV, with something. They're monitoring his vitals very closely, very frequently, and probably his hand is bruised from a needle going in all the time. They released a list of his medications. So something is going on here. There's some sort of medical problem. They're covering it up. He's got swollen calves. He's got foundation on his hand. There's some other symptoms that you could say, you can read, you might say that people are reading more into them than there's really something there. You might say it's legitimate. He's having these weird episodes of forgetfulness, not remembering certain names, not remembering the names of countries, inability to walk in a straight line when he was on the tarmac with Putin. Again, some I think are more speculative, some are unignorable. Foundation on his hands, swollen calves, there's photos of it. It's not normal. Something is going on there. The other stuff, you could come up with other explanations, but we'll throw it in there just for the sake of argument. He's talking all about heaven, he's talking about dying, and then he disappears. Last Tuesday, we stopped seeing him, hearing from him. Holds this marathon cabinet session. He's got a bruised hand once again. And then all of a sudden, radio silence, disappears. As I said, very uncharacteristic. This is anomalous. This is not normal. We're used to hearing from Trump in particular every single day. Every day, it's something. He's traveling. He's on a mission. He's on the White House. He's supervising construction. He's golfing. It's always something. We don't hear from him Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then we find out his whole schedule's canceled. So we're not going to see him Saturday, Sunday. Today, wiped his schedule again. Nothing Monday. Whole week goes by, nothing. Last week, J.D. Vance drops an interview where they're asked about if he would succeed President Trump. And Vance says, well, if anything happened to President Trump, I would be equipped and fit to step in. Right now, I'm supporting the president, but if anything tragic happened, I would absolutely step in. Friday, Saturday, there start to be these rumors on Twitter that Trump has actually died, that he had a stroke or a series of minor strokes, that they're hiding him intentionally. They're hiding health issues. Maybe it's stress. Who knows what it is, but he's not well. They're obviously hiding him. And maybe they're hiding something more significant, like that he's actually died. The flag has been lowered to half-mast. People say, is that because of the school shooting? Is that because he's passed? Are they getting their arrangements in order? Are they making arrangements for the transfer of power? We haven't seen that in our lifetimes. A president die in office, with the exception of Jack Kennedy. Very few of us, almost none of us, have seen something like this in our lifetimes. And that, we saw it. It happened in public. So when is the last time a president has died privately? I think Franklin Roosevelt died in office. So this is something that is totally outside of our experience. What does that look like? Are they going to go public with it the minute it happens? Does it take days? And so the speculation goes crazy. And this is a story about this. This is from Newsweek. It says, quote, photographs of President Trump departing the White House on Labor Day have been circulated by Getty Images as viral rumors have circulated about his death or serious health issues. The false rumors began circulating on social media on Friday after some noted that Trump had not been seen in public for several days. He also had no public events scheduled for the weekend. The images come after the president appeared to respond to the viral rumors on Sunday night in a Truth Social post. He wrote, "Never felt better in my life." Some 158,000 X posts, including the phrase "Trump is dead" and 42,000 stating Trump died, had been made as of the morning on Saturday. X users continued posting about the rumor on Sunday, although engagement dropped after Trump was spotted heading to his golf course in Virginia on Saturday. Questions about the president's health were also spurred after new photos showing bruising on the president's hand last week spread on social media. In July, the White House said Trump had been diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, which his physician described as benign and common. Trump has no public event scheduled for Monday. It was previously announced in early August that Poland's President Karol Nawrocki would come to the White House for a meeting on Wednesday, September 3rd. So you have all these posts going around. And like I said before, What we would all expect from the president, knowing him, knowing how he operates, his whole MO, we know that if everyone is saying on social media that Trump is dead, one, he would be aware of that. If there are credible news reports about a viral social media phenomenon, in other words, it's not a hoax, it's not botted, and everybody says Trump has died, and in particular, Trump is not well or dead, and they're hiding it, knowing Trump, what you would expect is that he would emerge the next morning. I'll show them. He would emerge the next morning because there's nothing he loves more than to prove the haters and doubters and whatever wrong. What you would expect is that he would be out there bright and early after he wakes up at 4 a.m. because he doesn't poo or pee and doesn't sleeps 1 hour per night, and he can run a 3-minute mile and he could bench press 7,000 pounds. You'd expect that he would be out there 5 a.m. Let's go, answering questions until nightfall. But he didn't. They said that he was going to golf. And the press was put all the way like 500 feet away from where he was. And we don't get a video. We get these blurry photographs. They're not up close and personal like normal. They're not on the golf course. Nobody seems to have access to him. There's no photos of him other than these very blurry photos from hundreds of feet away where the press was restricted to. And in the blurry photos, it's hard to tell what they show, but he doesn't look great. Although you can't draw any conclusive insights from this because they're not good photos, and that seems to be by design. What's happening at the same time is that all of his surrogates are posting old photos of him, and they're all getting community noted. People are posting old videos and pictures of him with a pro golfer that he golfed with last year. And it seems like a calculated deception. So the people say, oh, that's from today? Oh, okay, I guess it was nothing. But the photos weren't from today. There were no photos like that from today, from yesterday. Today they posted a photo of him with another golfer, and there's some anomalies about it. It appears to be manipulated in some way. The photo shows a mirror, and in the mirror, an artifact that is in the backdrop of the photo is not present in the mirror, which people pointed out. His smile looks slightly different. His eyes are barely open. It's hard to know in the era of AI and some of these softwares where you can manipulate images if it's even real. Who knows? It's probably real, but honestly, who knows? They cleared a schedule today, and now tomorrow they say there's going to be some announcement at the White House. Now, it's all speculation, okay? Everything that I just told you is all speculation. This is a narrative. We engaged in narrative construction. We looked at a bunch of unrelated things, and it's really circumstantial evidence. One thing is not necessarily related to the other. Why is he talking about heaven? Maybe the gravity of it all is finally weighing on him. They did shoot him in the head last year, after all. Why are his calves swollen? Maybe it is a benign health condition. He's 80 years old. Why has he not been seen for a week? Maybe he needed a break. Maybe he's tired. He's an old man, So we're creating a narrative, and maybe there's something there, and maybe there isn't. I would say what stands out to me is that we just haven't seen him for this long. And that to me is extremely atypical and very abnormal and very suspicious. Because like I said, the most bizarre aspect of all of this is I don't believe we've ever not heard from him for this long. And if people thought he was dead, it's uncharacteristic that he would not go out there to prove everybody wrong. And what it looks like is some sort of cover-up. It looks like they hid him away. People started to notice. They panicked. They rushed him out in front of the cameras, but not too close because he's still not 100%. And they showed another picture today. Maybe it's edited. Maybe it isn't. Maybe he's looking a little better. But something happened last week. Something happened that they don't want people to know about. That's what it looks like to me. Something medical. And I saw a thread on Twitter, and it's speculative, but it is interesting. Some are speculating that he suffered a series of mini strokes or has been suffering a series of mini strokes. Maybe suffered a major one last week. That's a going theory. We'll have to see what his schedule looks like. If he gives an announcement tomorrow and he's completely normal, then this is all bogus. And this is another instance of the internet going crazy. Maybe something happened and they did successfully fix him or get him in front of a camera. We'll see on Wednesday. He's going to meet with the head of state. If they keep that meeting, if he's on his game, if he's sharp, then, like I said, maybe nothing happened, maybe something happened, and it wasn't a big deal. Here's the issue, though, in my book. To me, the obvious comparison, which you can't help, it's unavoidable, is that this just so stinks like the Biden administration, doesn't it? And I've been really on Trump this year because, look, the mass deportations are not happening. The war in Ukraine has not ended. It's actually going on more. Trump is preparing to give Ukraine longer range missiles than Biden gave them. Scott Bessent today is complaining about the Russians. We're no closer to a deal. We're going to keep sending Ukraine weapons and better ones, longer range ones. We bombed Iran. They buried the Epstein files. I've been really on top of Trump for the policy stuff. And a lot of people say, well, it's been 7 months. And that's a long time, but it also takes time to do things. So people say, well, it's been a lot of time. He doesn't have a lot of options. When it comes to the Russians or the Iranians, they have a say in how that resolves as well. There's a lot of arguments that could be made. But then this happens. And it's like, is this administration like Joe Biden in literally every single way? It's getting impossible to avoid that comparison because the way that MAGA and Trump made it out is that Biden was the Antichrist. He was a puppet. There was this medical cover-up. He started this war in Ukraine. It's World War III. The neocons did that because of their corruption and their recklessness, and they're going to end the world. They're starting many wars. They're supporting the genocide in Gaza. There's no transparency on government secrets. They're bringing in 10 million illegals. It goes on and on and on. They said this is the most important election of our lifetimes. This is going to be a golden age. Trump learned his lesson. Things are going to be different this time. And it's unignorable and unavoidable to compare the two and realize this administration is similar in every way, in every single way so far. Think about it. The Biden administration had the Ukraine war begin in Biden's term. Trump has not only not ended it in 24 hours, it's not even slowing down. If anything, it's speeding up. Trump is giving them more weapons. The war in Gaza started under Biden. Under Trump, it accelerated. We bombed Yemen more in 1 month than Biden did in a year. We bombed Iran directly, whereas Biden refused to do so twice when the Israelis and Iranians confronted each other. Trump is sending 2,400 soldiers off the coast of Venezuela with missile carriers and destroyers, and it seems like is pursuing regime change there. Yet another war. Last month, the DOJ covered up the Epstein files. They didn't kick the can down the road. They didn't procrastinate. It's not that we didn't find anything. They actively covered it up and said, there's nothing else to see here. There's no one else to investigate. There are no tapes. There are no files. Case closed. And now we don't see Trump for a whole week at all. He's clearly sick. Something's going on because he's old. They're not being forthcoming about it. His calves are swollen. He can't walk in a straight line. His hand is bruised. It's slathered in foundation. Then he disappears for a week. And when everyone says he died, they roll him out with the journalist 500 feet away taking blurry photographs. And they say, see, he's fine. See, look, it's totally okay. And people defend this. Why don't you keep that same energy? What happened during Biden's term when people said, "Where's Hunter? Where's Hunter?" Biden won't campaign. He's hiding in his basement. They're hiding Joe Biden in his basement. He cleared his schedule today because he's only awake 3 hours and it's all his advisors running the show. Where's that energy now? We haven't seen Trump in a week with no explanation. No one knows what's going on. No one has we don't know what's going on with this health condition that they're concealing. We don't know why we haven't seen him in a week. It feels like we're being lied to. And no one's got anything to say. All the MAGA dick riders are coming out and saying, "Oh, I can't believe the left is wishing for Trump to die." Isn't that a bit of a diversion? Isn't that a cop-out, a dodge? Of course, I want the president to recover. I pray for him. He's the leader of our country, whatever you think about him. And I care about him as a man. I do believe, in spite of some of the things that have happened, this is a beast of a man. This guy's a lion. So I am praying for him to recover. But isn't that a little bit besides the point? Where is this guy? Why don't you care? And it's like this with everything. Do you think that if Biden bombed Iran, do you think that Trump supporters would be making excuses for it? You think they'd be saying Biden bravely bombed Iran and destroyed their nuclear program without a major war? They'd be calling him a neocon. They'd be saying he's the candidate of World War III. It goes on and on. Do you think that if the war went on for another year under Kamala Harris and she was sending Ukraine longer range weapon systems, do you think that any Trump supporter would be making excuses and saying, well, it's only been 7 months and that's very complicated and we got to get Putin to the... Of course not. Of course not. They'd be attacking her all day. Epstein files. Do we even need to go there? What if the Epstein files were buried under Kamala? Would there be a single person standing that would defend her on our side? Absolutely not. But Trump gets away with all of it. Bomb Iran, accelerate the war in Ukraine, cover up for Epstein. And then in the end, it's like Biden levels of Weekend at Bernie's to add insult to injury. And Johnny MAGA and Cat Turd and Scott Pressler and Jack Posobiec and all the usual suspects, they're right there on Twitter to defend this. And this is where, here's the best part. I call this out and people say that I'm becoming left wing. Have you seen this? People say now that I'm liberal. The Democrats are making a play to support the Groypers and I'm left wing and I changed. I did not change. You changed. I didn't leave the right. The right left me. In 2016, when they threw Hillary Clinton's limp body into a van on 9/11, I thought that was very weird. In 2020, when Joe Biden was obviously mentally incompetent, I thought it was a disgrace when they made him the president. And I didn't support the war in Ukraine, and I didn't support America's policy towards Gaza. And I don't support that Trump has this health condition. They're covering it up. I don't support that he's continuing the war in Ukraine. And I don't support that he's bombing Iran for Israel. So who changed here? Who pivoted? Who went in a weird direction? I didn't become left-wing. You became just like the people you purport to oppose. Isn't it weird? All those people that said, where's Hunter? Where's a laptop? Where's Joe Biden? Suddenly, crickets. When Trump disappears for a week, when he's got an issue, they got nothing to say. Oh, he's aging in reverse. No, he's not. And that's insane. If you, honest to God, look at a picture of Trump like these people do and say, incredible, he's aging in reverse, like you have lost the plot. You have gone insane. We are through the looking glass when Trump supporters are saying, he's fine. He's fine. Ignore the giant foundation on his hand. Ignore the swollen calves. Ignore the fact they disappeared for a week and then they did this weird cover-up where they took pictures from Baltimore of him at the White House, practically. And it just goes to show, I am right-wing. I am America first. Am I the only principled person left? Am I the only Trump supporter or former Trump supporter that will apply America first to Israel? Am I the only former Trump supporter that will hold Trump to the same standards as Joe Biden? And obviously, I'm very right-wing. But maybe more than anything, I'm a free thinker here. I'm not owned by the GOP. I am not beholden to the GOP in any way. I don't take money from the GOP, not over the table, not under the table. Everyone knows that. I've been disavowed by the GOP. Fuck the GOP. I'm not beholden to Trump. When I like him, I like him. When I don't like him, I don't like him. And unlike all these other people, I'm one of the only ones that can say that. Every other one of these influencers and politicians, they can't say that because they want to have access. They want to get their photo op in the White House. They want to get their picture next to the president. They don't want to lose their next primary race. They don't want their network to lose access to the briefing room, and on and on and on. I have emerged as one of the only people that is even capable on the right wing because I'm the only one that hasn't built my brand. I haven't created some grift out of riding the president's coattails and everything and anything he says and defending everything and anything he does. I'm one of the only people that created something completely independent from that. And so if I don't like it, I can say that. And most of my audience, a surprising majority, is going to ride with me rather than with him. And I think that's necessary because I'm going to be the first one to say it. This is a sinking ship, you guys. This is a sinking ship. Because newsflash, the storm clouds are rolling in over Iran all over again. Pay attention. You'll see it. The war in Ukraine, that's not stopping anytime soon. And when it does, we're going to lose. This debt keeps getting higher. Interest rates making it very expensive to support that debt. We're going to have to get rid of it somehow. We're going to monetize it. That means more inflation. It's going to be a bumpy landing for this economy. If it ever comes down, I think it's going to get ugly here. And look, he's losing people, man. Yes, he's got a 90% approval rating among Republicans, but look at his approval with 18 to 25s. Look at his approval rating with independents. It's nothing but down. And their next trick, their next act, is they think that they can shepherd all the Trump supporters to become Vance sycophants. That's their next trick. Now for something completely different, they think, and on some level, they can get away with Trump because people have an emotional connection to him. It is a true to form, cult to personality, the charismatic leader. They can get away with that, and they could get a lot of mileage out of that. It's durable. But now they think that as Trump declines and bows out, whether that's in the appointed time, the 4 years, or if it's earlier, they think they're going to be able to get everybody behind Vance, and they're just not. They couldn't get people behind DeSantis because he just sucks, and they're not going to be able to get him behind Vance, this weird-ass, weirdo Manchurian candidate who came out of nowhere. He may become the president tomorrow. He may become the president in a year. They're going to get behind him for president in 2028. And who the fuck even is this guy? 3 years ago, he's a never Trumper. 3 years ago, he wasn't even in the U.S. Senate. He had some no-show job at Peter Thiel's venture capital firm. And who the fuck is Peter Thiel? The Antichrist? Just ask him. Is he on Team Humanity even? Or is he with like the robots or the devil or who even knows? So this is the moment where I'm like, fuck it, I'm out. I'm out. And I know you know that. I mean, I've been out, but I am out. What is this even anymore? Who can defend this? It just gets worse every week. You know, day one, they said deportations are going to start on day one. We're coming to Chicago. Remember Tom Holman, that nitwit? We're going to come to Chicago on day one, whether they like it or not. And then what happened? Day one, well, it's only been one day. We can't do it. Day two, well, it's only been 2 days. It was over before it began. Dude, they put Sriram Krishnam as like an AI czar. Elon Musk was browbeating the Trump supporters on Christmas and New Year's because they didn't want limitless H-1Bs. They made Marco Rubio the Secretary of State. Scott Bessent used to work for George Soros and he's gay. This is our administration. It was cooked from the start. And it just keeps going. No mass deportations, no end to the war in Ukraine. We're bombing Iran. They're saying we'll do it again. Buried the Epstein files and covered it up for weeks. We're now against Thomas Massie for some reason because it's like an open cover-up of Pedophile Island. And now he's fucking sick. Now he's hiding in his basement like Joe Biden. And we're supposed to say, our glorious president is aging in reverse. It's a miracle. He's Benjamin Button. It's totally insane. It's totally insane. And these people need a reality check. Like, at this point, it's doing more harm than good. It's just damaging. So that's my position on the whole thing. Maybe he's going to come out tomorrow and he's going to be fine. I still don't like it. Something's up. You know it. I know it. It's obvious. I don't know what they're going to announce tomorrow. Maybe he'll be back and he'll be fine. Maybe he's stepping down. Who knows? It's really weird. Something is off here. Everyone knows that. And under any ordinary circumstance, this crowd would be all over it because this crowd is insane, you know? They thought that Trump was the shadow president for 4 years at Guantanamo Bay, like, you know, giving Hillary Clinton the death penalty. And we don't see Trump for a week and people are saying, you know, I'm sure that's fine. Like, it's all wrong, dude. It's all messed up. So more of the same, but we'll see. I mean, I might stream it tomorrow afternoon. I might not. I'm not sure yet, but I don't like it. So we'll have more on that tomorrow. Our other story tonight, we're going to be talking all about the new plan for Gaza. Get a load of this. So, of course, you remember back in February when Trump met with Netanyahu for the first time, and then he met with the Jordanian king, King Abdullah. They discussed the day after plans for Gaza. What would happen the day after Hamas is defeated and the war ends? Who's going to administer it? How will it be rebuilt? All these obvious questions. And Trump's proposal was basically an ethnic cleansing. He said that, and this was maybe the footnote, he said that after ethnically cleansing Gaza of 2 million human beings, 2 million souls, we're going to build a big resort on top of it. And people were memeing this idea of a Riviera-like travel destination in Gaza, a Trump hotel. We're going to turn it into a smart city, and David Sachs and Howard Lutnick will have it run on Tether, and it'll be on the blockchain. It won't even be real. It'll all be on the blockchain, and that's going to have AI drones and Amazon delivery drones and stuff like, you know, Ice Cube will be there. The footnote is they're going to kick everybody out. They're going to force 2 million people to leave after murdering 10% of them and destroying all their stuff. And people played that off. They said maybe that was a negotiating tactic, which is plausible. They said maybe that's a concept of a plan. That's a framework. But it wasn't received too well. Obviously, nobody is for that other than the U.S. and Israel. And very little was said about it after that. But now today, there's a new piece in the Washington Post, a planted story from the administration about the Trump administration's plans for Gaza, and they're basically the same. This is the story.
We can all agree that the
That's his
second
quote.
term has been
A post-war
more
plan for Gaza
lackluster
circulating
than
within the
anything
Trump
with
administration.
Like we were talking about earlier, there was a lot of promises made the first term that he kept. Promises made, promises kept slogan. Rather, this term, it's the latter. It's not even close to the first term. And I feel like a lot of Trump supporters feel the same way. Again, he's in the pocket of a lot of Israel, politicians, a lot of other, big companies. So, I mean, and unfortunately, that's the road that the majority of these politicians take to get elected or reelected. They have to make these deals. And that was the most famous thing about Trump. It was extraordinary that he ran without any donors, without owing any favors, and he could say whatever he wanted, right? That's why we all loved it. And he was like the black sheep. He was an anomaly because we've never seen that before. A lot of the time they'll run on broken promises, and then they'll become a president, and then none of the things that they said that they're going to do, they end up doing. And we see this time and time again. So when Trump came along, he wasn't beholden to anyone. And that was a breath of fresh air. And then 2020 happened. Say what you want about the election, and then he became second term now, and it's kind of dull, to say the least. It's more of what we've seen in the past with other traditional politicians, and that's kind of where we're going here. And you can look no further than what's going on with Israel and the Gaza Strip. I mean, Trump obviously picked his side, and now he's talking about remigration and turning Gaza into this, the Las Vegas of the Middle East almost. It's crazy that you can even talk about a mass group of people and just, a genocide and getting rid of them and deportations. And it's never been seen or heard from a president before. And that's kind of like where we're at right now with this whole movement. Is he's beholden to the donors this term, and it's pretty evident, unfortunately.
Administration's plans for Gaza, and they're basically the same. This is the story. That's his quote. A post-war plan for Gaza circulating within the Trump administration would turn it into a trusteeship administered by the United States for 10 years. The 38-page prospectus seen by the Washington Post envisions a temporary relocation of all of Gaza's more than 2 million people, either through what it calls voluntary departures or into restricted, secured zones inside the enclave during reconstruction. So here's another way to say that. They're going to ethnically cleanse the Strip, and either they're going to force everybody to leave into war zones, or they're going to put them into prison camps, like actual prison camps. That's really what that says. They're going to be, quote, relocated, read ethnically cleansed. They can either voluntarily leave, read forced out at gunpoint, or restricted, secured zones, read prisons inside the enclave. It goes on. Here, it gets better. Well, that's a small price to pay, right? Got to crack a few eggs. Those who own land would be offered a digital token. Can't make this up. They'll be offered a digital token by the trust in exchange for rights to redevelop their property to be used to finance a new life elsewhere, or eventually redeemed for an apartment in one of 6 to 8 new AI-powered smart cities to be built in Gaza. Each Palestinian who chooses to leave would be given a $5,000 cash payment and subsidies to cover 4 years of rent elsewhere, as well as a year of food. And they're thinking about relocating them to Libya, Somalia. These are 2 countries that don't even have a government. They're in the middle of a civil war. Libya is literally split in 2 between 2 warlords. Somalia is split into like 100 pieces. Like half of it doesn't even have a government. It says Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has never offered a clear vision for Gaza's future beyond saying Hamas must be disarmed and all hostages returned. He said Israel must retain security control of the enclave and rejected any future governance there by the West Bank-based Palestinian Authority, as well as the prospect of Palestinian statehood. Israel, which says its troops now control 75% of the enclave, has approved a new offensive to take over the rest. Okay, so they're going to kill 10% of the population, blow up all their shit, starve them to death. They're going to force them to go to war zones and imprison the rest. And then they're going to build AI-powered smart cities on the blockchain and give everybody a token. What even is this? Like, we live in hell. What can you even say about this plan? You know, these are human beings. Like, these are human beings with lives. Like you and I. They were born there. We were born here. We were born here, and so we get to go to school and ride the school bus and have Christmas parties and go to Disney World. They were born there, so they know nothing other than hunger and thirst and death and explosions and airstrikes and being shot in the face and disabled. And this administration's making it into basically a joke. We're going to turn it into a game show. Now, these beleaguered people that are officially being starved to death and genocided, 107 people dead in the past 24 hours from hunger, we're going to give them digital tokens on the blockchain in exchange for their territory, and then we're going to kick them out and send them to Somalia. What the fuck is this? This is evil. And I'll take it a step further. What this administration is doing is cruel and evil. I'm in favor of some of the things the administration is doing. 10 million illegal immigrants came here in the past 4 years. What, are they going to stay here forever now? The previous administration let 10 million people come in. Forget about the pre-existing population of illegal immigrants. And there's much that could be said about that. Some came here as children. Some have been here for 3 decades. Some have built a life here. 10 million people came here in the past 4 years. And now what? They're going to live here until the end of time? Like, obviously, those people have to be removed. Obviously, those people have to be arrested and deported. Like, you just can't let that happen. But this administration that's saying, whoa, we're going to feed them to alligators. We're going to send them to Uganda. The stuff that's happening in Palestine, whatever you think about it, it's evil. These people are being genocided by Israel. It's not even a question. And the administration is saying, well, we'll give them Bitcoin. We'll give them Tether. We'll give them Trump coins, and they can exchange that for a condo in the Trump hotel we'll build there. This is just not right. There's something profoundly evil about this, something profoundly, and you know, pardon the expression, but it's obviously dystopian. It's glib. It's not serious. It's offensive. And this is not me going soft or me going woke, but where's the dignity of human life involved in all this? Where's the seriousness? Is this a statesman or is this a joke? Is Donald Trump a statesman? Is he supposed to be a Caesar-like, Napoleon-like, and forgive me, a Hitler-like figure? Is he supposed to be a transformative leader of America, a force for good, like a George Washington, like an Abraham Lincoln, whatever you think of him for that matter, like the great pantheon of European, Western, American heroes? Or is this just a big sick joke? Is this just a big weird scam, a very weird, very bizarre, very 21st century scam? And I think it's almost obviously the latter. I'm getting sick of it. When Trump was funny 8 years ago, but there was at least this idea that he was going to run a serious administration. In 2016, we didn't really know what to expect. And what he was promising was competence, bringing the competence of the private sector into government. The best people, high turnover rate, high efficacy, results oriented, delivering tangible, real victories, action oriented. That was interesting. That was exciting. You could at least believe that that was possible. But what it has turned into is just like a very twisted and weird situation. And it's not funny anymore. The like weird glazing saying he's going to run in 2028, the weird shit people say where, you know, he's aging in reverse, the true social posts vindictively threatening everybody, the media, politicians, this one and that one, going after his enemies, the fusion with Israel, the fusion with Silicon Valley, with Wall Street. It's almost like everything the liberals said about Trump in many ways is being borne out. And don't get me wrong, what elevated Trump in the first place is that there was a legitimate criticism to be made. Rightfully so. The liberal institutions lost credibility. They were contemptuous of the American public. They were disdainful of the American public. They took trust and credibility for granted, and they abused that trust. They reached a point where they felt they didn't need to explain themselves, that their power justified itself or was self-evident. They overstepped. Like, let's not forget how we got here. We got here after the lie that got us into Iraq. We got here because of the bailout of the banks in 2008. We got here because of the race politics of Obama, the progressive wing of the Democrats taking over the party and alienating Christians, white people, working class people, calling them bitter clingers. You know, they're bitter, clinging to their guns and Bibles. They fucked up. But what has happened is the pendulum has swung so far to the other side. And I don't know that I'm comfortable with where it's at right now. It should have stopped a long time ago. And now it's turned into a big joke. Now we really have a ridiculous person as president that's actually embarrassing. He's orange. He's weird. He's got a weird look going on. The whole administration's weird. This like slavish devotion to him is getting bizarre. Maybe it's been bizarre. The weird trutherism that you see where you got QAnon people that are talking about the fringe on the American flag and what that signifies about secret operations. People are talking about aliens and interdimensional beings, weird health trends. Like, it's gone so far in the other direction. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of it. And maybe the worst part is that the pendulum has swung, maybe in terms of style, like a wrecking ball has been taken to civility, institutions, decorum, decency, so much so that even I have a problem with it, where it's like, okay, it's a little much even for me. But the substance has remained exactly the same. Like, Trump has this gaudy, ostentatious Oval Office. It's just ridiculous. The portraits everywhere, the gold accents, the gold tie, the gold chair. Get the fuck out of here with that. Whereas Biden's was understated and traditional. So stylistically, the pendulum has swung from tasteful, traditional, conventional, understated to gaudy, silly, tasteless, etc., mirroring what is happening elsewhere.
Yeah, it was definitely a failed administration thus far, in my opinion, in a lot of Americans' opinions. And we were hoping to get what we got back in 2016, that Trump version. But, 2025 version of Trump is nothing what it was promised. So a lot of this, resentment is coming from promises not being kept and, obviously his allegiance to foreign, interest and not really being America first. So
So stylistically, the pendulum has swung from tasteful, traditional, conventional, understated to gaudy, silly, tasteless, etc., mirroring what is happening elsewhere, but the policies are the same. The Ukraine war realistically started under Obama, carried on through Trump, then Biden, now Trump again. The situation in the West Bank, Gaza, and Iran, it was bad under Obama. Trump blew it up, continued under Biden, is accelerating under Trump again. So what is really important to understand here is this. The Republicans and the Democrats are both fucking us. They're both fucking us. They both did a COVID stimulus. They both did a regressive wealth transfer. They both let BLM destroy the country. That happened under Trump and Obama, actually. They both brought in millions of illegals. Trump did, and Obama did, and Biden did. Now Trump is just closing it down because they took it really far. They all had a hand in the war in Ukraine. They all had a hand in many of these things. What the Republican Party represents is like an Israeli wrecking ball to American stability. That's really how I see it. Because the Trump administration is not really delivering revolutionary change. Are you richer than you were 10 years ago? No. Is the tax burden any better? No, it's worse. Insurance is more expensive. Healthcare is more expensive. Taxes are high. Cost of living is high. Housing costs are high. So you're not better off economically. Are we involved in fewer wars than we were 10 years ago? No, we're involved in more. Are there fewer illegals? No, there's way more. And yeah, there's not as many coming in now, but on net, there's way more here. What has changed is the polarization. And it's now that we know what we know about Fox News and Trump, it seems like this was like the real subversion of America, an Israeli wrecking ball. When I look at the Republican Party, when I look at Mike Johnson, the Trump administration, Fox News, I see the frat bro uprising. That's what I see. I see Shabbos Kestenbaum. I see Ben Shapiro. I see Jared Kushner. When I look at the whole thing, I see the whole thing as a front. Like they tricked white Americans like me. I am a nativist. I am an immigration restrictionist. I'm a white nationalist. I'm a nationalist. I'm America first. I'm a non-interventionist, a restrainer, a prioritizer, whatever the lexicon is now. Ideologically, I'm a protectionist. I'm where Trump appealed to in 2016, and that class of voter was tricked. They leaned into white grievance. They leaned into fatigue of war. They leaned into distrust of the institutions. They leaned into that. And the Republicans used whites like the Democrats used blacks. The Israelis used the Republican Party to use whites in the same way that the Democrats and the globalists on that side use blacks and stupid college kids and women. It's the same playbook. Don't you understand? The same interests with some minor factional disputes. They use the voters on the Democrat side, the young college kids, the women, the racial and ethnic minorities, just like how the interests on the Republican side are using the white people, ginning up the white people. And it's like, newsflash, nothing's fucking changed. They got the white people ramped up about immigration. We're no better off. They got the white people ramped up about black people and crime, and we're no better off. We're worse off. When push came to shove, they let BLM destroy the cities because Sean Hannity told Trump that'd be good for the election in 2020. They got everybody ramped up about trade and infrastructure, and they did jack shit on both. There's no subsidies. There's no reliable tariff schedule. There's no major legislation on that. There's no infrastructure bill. They got people ramped up about the wars, and there's more of them now. There's more of them. We're sending them more weapons. We're going to Venezuela as we speak. So what actually changed? Israel keeps getting bigger and bigger. That's what changed. The Iran deal got ripped up. Iran got bombed. Hezbollah's being disarmed. The Houthi leadership got assassinated. The West Bank and Gaza are being annexed. The Golan is being annexed. South Lebanon is being annexed. That's what changed. You know what else changed? Trillions of dollars of quantitative easing that, because of economic effects, went to the banks and corporations first. The biggest Silicon Valley companies are bigger than ever. COVID was a massive wealth transfer to Amazon, to content sites. Now it's AI and data centers. That's what changed. So there needs to be something new. That's what I'm in. People say, you're going to vote for Newsom. I want something new. I want something different. I don't want to do the same thing over and over. I don't want to be somebody's boy. I don't want to be the Israelis or Fox News or the Republicans or Trump's boy. I want something new. I want something different. And even if it's the burn it all down party, at least that's a actual fucking choice. People say, you like Newsom just because he's handsome? Dude, I don't give a fuck. At least if you vote for John Pork, if you vote for Kanye, if you vote for something different, at least you're not complicit in your own rape. At least you're not complicit in this scheme that is meant to dispossess you of your birthright. People say, lesser of two evils, we are being dispossessed. Doesn't matter what rate that it's happening, you're voting, you're affirming. Do you understand this? People say, well, I don't care what anybody says, it's better under Trump. He's dispossessing us too. You're voting for it. You are affirming it. You are saying, may I have another? Yes, and I want more. And we just can't do that anymore. And the only way to express that is negation, rejection, denial. You cannot have them come to you and say, no, Stephen Miller's, first of all, he only gives a shit about Israel. He doesn't give a shit about you, and it's not even happening. 1,000 deportations a day, try 800 arrests per day. I saw some guy in a group chat today said, Stephen Miller's like a stereotypical Chinese mob boss. He's a fucking stereotypical, glib, arrogant Jew who will lie to your face to get what he wants. That's what the GOP does. And until we reject that, and you can reject it on both sides, I really don't care. But until the message to the institutions is we reject both, we're not playing the game, you'll get more of it. It's basic moral hazard. I know that's difficult for normies to get. Trump supporters, stay with me here. I know this is tough. You want to turn on Sean Hannity brainwashing machine and just hear the same thing over and over again every single night. The radical left, the radical left. Harry Sisson and BLM. You have to snap out of it. This country is going to hell. The Republicans are not helping at all. And not for a lack of, and for a lack of trying, actually. I was going to say not, but for a lack, they are not trying to fix it. So anyway, that doesn't have too much to do with Gaza. I guess it's just more the tone of it. We know where it's going in Gaza, but it's more just this is a planted story. It's in the Washington Post. Anonymous sources told the Washington Post about the prospectus to turn Gaza into Second Life. They want to turn Gaza into a, metaverse simulation run on the blockchain. And it's supposed to be a big joke. I get it. Yeah, it's all a big fucking joke. It's all hilarious. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yes, it's all a big fucking joke. Jews like David Sachs and Howard Lutnick and Jared Kushner are running the government in ways we don't even understand. Things like AI, data centers, it's dominating our lives. Nothing gets better. We're supposed to be hobbits corralled into plantations by elves. Yes, they're all so fucking smart. We're all just low IQ anti-Semites. I'm just sick of it. It's a metric ton of fucking bullshit. And I still have a bullshit detector. It's still intact. It survived Trumpism. And I'm just wondering where everybody else is. Where did you guys go? If Biden or Harris did anything that Trump was doing, you guys would be losing your damn minds. But people are not. And I'm not that guy, you know. I don't have a jersey on. I'm not getting paid. So there's that. You know, people love to attack me because I say stuff like this. I say, what are you on the left? This guy, he's trying to stop us from winning. Us. I'm sorry. Am I a contracted member of the team? I didn't get the uniform. I didn't get the memo. Who's my boss now? I must have missed that. And, you know, people that are not being paid need to kind of get together and say, we need to form a union here, so to speak. So anyway, that's that. We're going to move on. We're going to take a look at the super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say. They don't like that I'm saying this. They don't like it. They know I'm right. People are waking up. All right, let's take a look. We'll see what you guys have to say. Let me get set up. Let's get set up. Let's see what you guys got. And look, you know what I love? It's crazy that my clips are going viral now, and it's all of the people you would least expect that are liking them. It's Muslims, it's black people, it's leftists. They're all saying, wow, I could see why this guy was censored. And it's the Trump people that are antagonistic towards me, which is very interesting, isn't it? And I'm glad to see it because I'm for all people in a sense. In the sense that, and I'm going to choose my words carefully because we don't want to sound like we are accommodationists. I don't want to sound like our goal is to please everybody because look, communists are not going to be pleased. Refugees, illegal immigrants are not going to be pleased with our platform. But it is important to understand that we have more in common with each other than we do with them. That's kind of the big message. Is like we have to stop splitting society down the middle where we say it's us and our elites versus them and their elites. We don't have elites. The elites are a unit. And so we're alienating one another over stuff. We need to start to look at ourselves as Americans and realize that who is ruling us, they're not American. They're Israeli. Many of them are immigrants. They're cosmopolitan. They are transnational. They have no skin in the game here. They have no attachment to this land. You know, take a look at the biggest companies on Wall Street. Take a look at the biggest donors to the political parties. Look at the owners of the companies. Look at the donors. How many of them are rooted in America? How many of the most powerful people in this country were even born here? Have any affection or attachment to America? The ultra wealthy, they belong to no nation, okay? They go wherever they please. All over America, all over the world. They have properties everywhere, business everywhere. Many of them are not from here, very liberal attitudes about everything. And you're fighting there might be in your high school class some, burnout weed smoker who's on Reddit too much, and you're like, that guy's my enemy. And that guy looks at you as a shit poster on X. That guy's a Nazi. We're going to kill each other. And don't get me wrong, there's still differences. There's still NPCs out there. There's ideological stuff. But we do need to embrace a more expansive version, a more expansive vision. Because the culture war stuff, it doesn't tend to favor us. I'll just say that much. We see where it's gotten us. Okay, we won in the last election. How's that going? Our side, we won. Trump won. Take that, liberals. And what is it? It's shit. It's utter shit. So clearly something did not work there. Like there's a miscalibration there. Anyway, but that's that. We're going to move on. More on that as time goes on.
MG sent $10. Did you see the shooter had an FSB badge?
Did he? I wouldn't look too much into that. Was that guy Russian intelligence? Is there evidence of that? He seemed just like some fucked up tranny. That to me seems more like a LARP. He wrote his notebook, not even in Russian, but just in English using the Cyrillic script. So that just seems like a fucking LARPer. That's like, a band kid playing the Soviet national anthem. You know what I mean? He has an FSB patch. And, the resistance liberals are going to say he's a Russian agent. Like he's a LARPer. He's an online LARPer.
Conker sent $15. Being satanic, they used aborted tissue to make the vaccines. Hack 293 aborted fetal cell line was used for research. C6, J&J, was both used in development and production. Long story short, a promoted biochemist showed me. During production, human tissue needs to be filtered out. It wasn't OFC.
It's interesting.
Wine War Palestine sent $280. Just dropping by to say hi and show my support and appreciation as well. Standing by you always, brother. God bless.
Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it. We love Palestine. Thank you very much, man. God bless. Thank you for all the support, as always. Major supporter of the show. I really appreciate it.
Zavage sent $10. The way you completely shut down any cancer treatments outside of the healthcare system is fishy. Other resources have worked for countless people and you just laugh it off and say that's anecdotal. You need to listen to your oncologist because studies you read. Weird. ESB with your parents' situation.
It's fishy. You're a dumbass. I don't want to be anywhere near you. I don't want to be anywhere near you or people like you. So if I don't agree with you, what's suspicious about that? That I trust my doctor? So if I get cancer, which by the way is a life-threatening illness that there is no known treatment for. Some are more treatable than others, I understand. If I get a life-threatening illness and I go to my oncologist, I'm going to die in 6 months. I'm going to die in 12 months. I go to my oncologist who went to medical school for 8 years and is a specialist in my kind of cancer, has 130, 140 IQ, went to the top university, studied at one of the top hospitals, knows actually about how the human body works, studied it. If I trust him and I don't trust Joe Rogan, that's suspicious? Or, forgive me, a guest on Joe Rogan, that's suspicious now? Don't get me wrong. If you go to somebody for diet advice, fitness advice, I'm more willing to listen. If people say, try the carnivore diet, try the, whatever diet, I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to entertain that notion. But when people start to say, I saw something on the internet, don't listen to your oncologist, that's actually killing people. That's actually fucking killing people. And that's actually serious. When you're talking about the mRNA vaccine, I'm willing to listen because it's a new technology. There's obviously a government agenda being served. They shut down the economy because of this novel virus. They rushed out a vaccine. They suppressed information about it. That's valid. Like I said, diet and exercise, you have some novel theory about germs or what. Okay, I'll hear you out. But cancer, which is something very personal to me, my mother has it, my father has it. My mother could have been dead in 6 months if she didn't have chemotherapy. And assholes are telling her and telling me, well, you need to try ivermectin. So what? The oncologist didn't look into that one? That one somehow, it got by the goalie at Northwestern. It got by the goalie at Johns Hopkins. But it didn't get by the goalie with someone that doesn't even have a degree. Someone didn't go to medical school. Someone with a 105 IQ that saw something online and swears by it because they saw a podcast. We have to be honest. The anti-intellectual stuff has gone way too far. There's all the difference in the world between saying we're not going to automatically trust the experts and saying we will automatically trust people that have no expertise and automatically distrust people that have expertise. Clearly, that's wrong. And you understand it with anything else. if something is wrong with your car, you go to a mechanic. Now, is what your mechanic says the gospel truth? No, because mechanics miss things sometimes. But the mechanic's your best bet. You wouldn't take it to some Nigerian immigrant who made a peanut butter sculpture of a helicopter, the stupid shit you see him doing over there, and say, oh, I'm going to take it by this guy. He swears that, the car runs on magic. It's like the same thing. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just not entertaining that shit anymore. And if you expect me to cater to that, fuck you. Like, honest to God.